Theodore Robert Cowell was born on November 24, 1946, at the Elizabeth Lund Home for Unwed Mothers in Burlington, Vermont. His mother, Eleanor Louise Cowell, was a young, unmarried woman from a deeply religious Philadelphia family. To shield the family from the social stigma of an illegitimate birth, Ted was raised for his first few years believing his mother was his older sister and his grandparents were his parents. This deception was, honestly, a heavy stone cast into the pond of his early life, creating ripples that would stretch across decades. Even as a small boy, there were unsettling whispers, stories of a strange darkness lurking beneath his seemingly normal exterior. For example, his aunt once woke up to find young Ted had placed kitchen knives around her while she slept. These early years were, you could say, a confusing tapestry of secrets and a manufactured reality that likely warped his sense of identity and trust from the very beginning. He grew up in Tacoma, Washington, after his mother moved them across the country, and married a hospital cook named Johnny Culpepper Bundy. Ted was given his stepfather's last name, becoming Theodore Ted Bundy. On the surface, he was the model son and student. He was shy, intelligent, handsome, well-behaved. He did well in school, was active in his local church youth group, even worked on political campaigns for Republican candidates. As a teenager, he developed a habit of peeping into the windows of strangers' homes, a voyeuristic impulse that signaled a growing detachment from normal social boundaries. He was also an avid consumer of true crime magazines and pulp detective novels, especially those that featured graphic violence and sexual deviance. This fascination with the darker side of human nature was not just a passing interest, it was really a study. He was learning, absorbing the details of how to stalk, how to overpower, and how to get away with the most terrible of acts. Friends from that time would later recall a certain coldness, an inability to truly connect or show genuine empathy, as if he were always playing a part. The precise moment Ted Bundy crossed the line from fantasy to fatal reality remains murky, but authorities now believe his killing spree began in earnest around 1974. Young women, mostly college students, began to disappear in Washington, Oregon with alarming frequency. The pattern was hauntingly consistent. A bright, promising young woman would vanish without a trace. There were no signs of a struggle, no witnesses to an abduction, just an empty space where a vibrant life used to be. The first confirmed victim in this series was Linda Ann Healy, a University of Washington student who was taken from her basement apartment in February 1974. Her disappearance was followed by others, each one a fresh wave of grief and fear that washed over the Pacific Northwest. Bundy's method was as cunning as it was cruel. He was a predator who used his charisma and good looks to lure his victims into a state of false security. He would often feign an injury, wearing a cast on his arm,